I was hosting an open house when a lovely woman walked up to me. We chit chatted a little bit, and I answered a couple of questions about the property for her. Then she paused and said, "We're not here to buy this house. We've been lying to agents for months." Wait, what? Now that got my attention. Let's call her Linda. She explained that she and her husband Tom had been going to open houses for months, not to look at homes, but to meet agents. They wanted to find someone they felt comfortable working with. And every time an agent asked if they were interested in buying, they'd say, "Just looking," when in reality, they were interviewing. I have to say, that's a smart move, and I've seen that done before. Linda said, "Tom and I need to move, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years. We've decided to talk to you and to get your input with selling our house and getting something smaller and new." So we chatted briefly. It was a busy open house, so I set a time for the following week to really talk through their situation and goals. We met at their house later that week. It was a gorgeous place, well maintained, and in a desirable neighborhood. I asked them to walk me through the house, and as we went room by room, I could see what was holding them back a bit. The house was full, a lot of furniture in every room, stuff on the counters, the closets were packed. And, it's that kind of full that happens naturally when you've lived full, busy lives and have raised children for decades. Linda said, "We know we need to do some things to get this house ready to sell, but we need help to decide what to do. Do we paint? Do we replace things? What do we get rid of? And what stays?" So we talked through the process, and I showed them comparable properties that had recently sold in their neighborhood. We agreed on a current market price to list their home, but before we could list it, we needed a game plan to prep that house. I said, "I offer a staging consultation as part of my service, so you get a room by room plan. What to keep, what to edit, what to tweak. Then you can decide what makes sense." They agreed, and we scheduled the stager. The stager I worked with at the time was fantastic. Let's call her Bernie. And she had this saying I'll never forget: "Selling a home, it's a beauty contest." And she's right. Buyers compare every house they see, just like we do when we shop, right? So Bernie walked around the house with Linda and Tom, and she was direct, like not mean, just clear and practical. And I think they appreciated that. In the kitchen, she said, "Clear the countertops entirely. The coffee maker can stay, but the toaster, the cutting boards, all of it needs to go. We want buyers to see that counter space." And she was right. It was a beautiful countertop with lots of working space to use. For the closets, she said, "Everything should be about two-thirds capacity. If buyers see packed closets, they think there isn't enough space, so take out about a third." Now, I learned that great guideline from her a long time ago, and I use it quite a bit. In the bathroom, she said, "White towels only for a clean spa look, and hide that toilet brush. No one wants to see it." Bernie took copious notes, room by room, and every detail was written down. The next day, we received a full report from her, and that report included what to remove, suggested paint color, light fixture options for an updated look. Nothing crazy expensive, just for an update. She also offered to do a quick staging session before the listing photo shoot. Now, that's a service that's very reasonable, to go in the morning of the photo shoot to rearrange the furniture, make final edits, and add a few pieces to complete the look for photography. So Linda and Tom had a game plan. They were excited to have actionable steps to optimize the sale of their home, and there was no more spinning of their wheels. They just followed a plan, knowing what worked. I checked in on a regular basis, and about 2 weeks into the process, Linda hit a roadblock with decluttering. She said, "I opened the guest room closet and just closed it again. There is stuff in there I haven't touched for years, and Tom won't let go of anything in the garage." Now, this is where people get stuck. The overwhelm is real, and the guilt and regret, it's stifling. We ask ourselves questions like, what if I need this someday? Or, I can't get rid of it. It was a gift. Or, this belonged to my parents. I get it. I told her something I always say: you don't own things, things start to own you. And I made that saying up a long time ago. I feel it puts things in perspective and reboots the brain a little bit. But getting rid of stuff, that's easier said than done. So I connected her with a pro organizer, a decluttering specialist that I used to help clients. They worked together one afternoon, and Linda said it made all the difference. She felt better moving forward and had some mindful tools now to tackle the rest of the house. Now, today, we have even more tools and resources we had back then, to research things like decluttering and downsizing. There's a lovely woman on YouTube named Rita Wilkins, the downsizing designer. She is phenomenal and shares practical, compassionate insights about letting go of stuff and right sizing. You'll find her information very helpful, and I'm going to go ahead and put a link to her channel below in the description. I've also put together a decluttering guide from my experience over the years to help clients get sorted. It's about 20 pages or so, and I give it to my clients, and it addresses concepts that have worked over the years. It also has resources in Richmond that would be helpful as you declutter. You can download the guide for free, and there's a link below in the description. If you need boots on the ground help, face to face help from a decluttering professional, I have trusted people in Richmond to recommend. Just reach out to me, no problem. All right, back to Linda and Tom. While they prepped the house, we started looking for their next place. They had one big advantage that they could purchase before selling, and you'll see why in a bit. We assessed what they wanted their new lifestyle to look like, now that the kids had flown the nest. They didn't want a tiny place, just something more manageable, and it had to be a long term fit. A home that was mostly one level living with the primary suite on the main level. They didn't want a location that was far away from places. They wanted it convenient to stores, and they didn't want to deal with lawn mowing and landscaping and yard work. Never again. A 55 plus community wasn't important to them. They preferred a mix of ages in their neighborhood. I see that preference a lot lately with baby boomers. Family, grandkids, friends, they all visit. So guest rooms on another level, that works well for people. So it didn't take long to find the right place, and they closed on their new home in about a month. Soon after that, we listed their home and did showings with the house furnished. After their home went under contract, they were able to move what they wanted into their new home, and everything else in the old house was either sold or more often just given away. The spaces in the new home became the truth teller. There were no more questions like, does this fit? Does this work? Do we actually need this? There wasn't any more guessing or packing for things that for just in case scenarios. Packing before you know what your new space can hold is awful. That can be the most stressful part of this whole process. I know, I did it. We packed way too much for a place we hadn't even chosen yet. Crazy, right? I know. It's a long story for another day, but it had to be that way. And we ended up moving from the suburbs into the city. And our new place had no garage, no attic, no basement, no backyard. And imagine all the things we packed and moved to anticipate those spaces. And it cost us a small fortune to move and store. Ugh, anyway, if you can buy before you sell, even if it's tight, it's worth exploring. It cuts a ton of stress and guesswork and time and expenses. All right, end of speech. Okay, I digress. After we got Linda and Tom's home under contract, I urged them to negotiate a later closing date so it wasn't a mad dash, crazy hectic transition for them. As I mentioned, they moved items that they wanted into the new house, and whatever remained in the old house was either sold or given away. But that process still takes time. And honestly, they had a hard time selling their stuff. Very little sold, and it took up a lot of their time. Most of the items went to friends and family first, then to nonprofits. Here's the reality about selling furniture. Most pieces have a fraction of the market value than you would expect. You might get $100 for a couch that cost you thousands a long time ago, and it becomes a part-time job to trying to get rid of it. Many of my clients find it more satisfying and less stressful just to give the items to family and friends and donate the rest. Linda told me later the best decision we made was just to let things go. We invited friends and family over one Sunday, let them take whatever they wanted, and donated the rest. Done. I saw her feeling excited for their next journey. It was like a weight was lifted from her shoulders. And that was a complete 180 from where she started. It was such a beautiful thing to see. I saw changes in Tom as well. He gave his younger brother all of his tools from his garage and kept the necessities. He said he could always borrow them if he ever needed them. Now, that was some strong work. There are so many other details to this story, but I wanted to share things that could be on point and helpful for you as you're figuring things out for your journey. And good for you for researching options that work best for you. That's great. Please let me know what concerns you have about downsizing, right sizing in the comments below. I'd love to address any issues to help. I keep in touch with Linda and Tom from time to time. They always have something going on. Either the grandkids are visiting, or they're traveling, or they're doing some consultation work. It's always busy, busy. I joke with them sometimes and I say, with a retirement like yours, who needs work? So I've masked a few details of this story to protect client confidentiality, but their journey was full on real. Here's another video you may find relatable as you craft your own journey. I'm Michael Hitz, downsizing specialist in Richmond, Virginia. Knowledge equals confidence, and I want that for you.